We're already recording, so that's good.
Is it Beltane? Mm-hmm. There it is. Okay, it's 35. Cute.
We'll see.
You should braid it. Is that what you're trying to do?
No, I thought about braiding it. That's a lot of effort. I'm just gonna. It'll look good enough.
So that we're recording now, right?
Mm-hmm, we're already recording, which is, fine. Because usually we do about 5 minutes, and I figure out where we're at. So this has a center. Do you see that? Do you want it off to the side?
No.
Okay. Yeah, that's the center. So just up a little more.
I can't tell.
It's okay. There, bring it straight down. There you go. Look, it hangs right in the center. Nice heart and chandelier. Yeah. I don't have my thing yet. I stopped putting vodka in my drink.
Did you need to do that?
What, stop?
Mm-hmm.
No, I just don't want to get a tummy ache. The coffee is fucking tasty.
Here, let me see if I can tie it.
What? Oh, it's not undone. See, I just... Oh, maybe a little bit. I just go under and through. Yeah. Easy peasy. Lemon squishy. Oh, wow. Wait, I totally fucked that up, didn't I? Wow. Okay. You could have said something. She gave me the look of approval, and I was like, yeah,
I was trying to. I'm like, hey, you don't have to be symmetrical.
I won't be, most likely. But it was supposed to be wrapped somewhat. The wrap came out. There. Should be fine for just this. Okay. Beltane. All right.
Here. You're the charge of that.
I know.
Are you there?
It was funny because I thought I had in our last closing statement, you did it perfectly where you read that part and I did this last one. I was like, oh my God, why are our names not there? I was like literally thinking about it. I just need to swish because
we kind of know what to do.
We do. Okay, yep, we're at 14 or 49, 13, 13. Pretty good.
Yep.
Feeling good?
You need to clean your mouth out, or you're going to be doing this when you're... Swish.
Okay. Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Witch's Way podcast. I'm Kat.
And I'm Jamie. And tonight we are joyously talking about the badass holiday of Beltane.
Our favorite. Is it your favorite?
I mean,
it's hard to pick a favorite.
It is hard to pick a favorite, but I love Beltane because it's the sex holiday.
Ooh.
It's like the holiday of like ambitions go wild. I don't know. Yeah. Beltane in the Wheel of the Year marks the height of spring. So this is like, we are now fully out of our houses, embracing that good weather and looking to mingle, you know?
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's a transition from spring to summer. Like this is the mark where this is the last spring holiday. The next holiday will be fully summer. It will be the summer solstice. So
it's about to get hot.
Fucking ready. Yes.
We're going to cover the origins, magical correspondences, and how to celebrate with spells and rituals.
Definitely. And yeah, sex. There's, just so you guys know, like if there was going to be a holiday dedicated to this, this is the one.
So a little bit about Beltane. It's one of the 8 holidays of the Wheel of the Year. It's a celebration of fertility, passion, abundance, marking the midpoint between the spring equinox, or Ostara, and the summer solstice, Letha. And this is called the what did you call these
cross-quarter holidays?
Cross-quarter days or cross-quarter.
Why are we both itching our watch at the same time? That was so weird.
That's really strange.
That was so weird.
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. Literally at the same time.
It is one of the 4 holidays that is not associated with what's going on in the sky.
So that's why it's called a cross-quarter holiday. It's like literally well, that seems weird. That's a quarter of the way through, but it's the midway point between astrological events.
Okay.
Astrological. Astronomical? I always get those two fucking confused. It's in between a solstice or an equinox. That's what the cross-quarter holidays are.
And you might hear these called cross-quarter holidays.
Yes, yeah, sometimes.
Okay.
And they're also called fire holidays, which is really interesting because
all 4 of them are fire holidays?
They are. They're all called that.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that.
Yeah. And I think
why is that?
I wish I had a really good answer. I've read too much, so my views are skewed. The reason that I think they would all be fire holidays is because they're associated with moving forward into the next cycle, like the next thing. So there is no other element that would rule them. There's not winter, it's not summer, it's not spring. So you have fall and spring equinoxes, and you have the summer and winter solstices. So you can rule those with elements maybe. So everything else is just fire because it's action, transition, and moving forward. So at Beltane, we create the massive, huge... These are the Beltane bonfires. Yeah, that's what it's mostly known for. Yeah, so what exactly is Beltane? Like, let's just get into a little bit of history, okay? Beltane's traditionally celebrated the night of April 30th. And I say traditionally, meaning do what you fucking want, because I celebrated on May 1st. And maybe I celebrated on May 4th or 5th or 6th or 7th, whatever the weekend is, truly. Because
here's a good point to make about these witches holidays is that they are a mini season.
It's a season
of about 6 weeks.
Yeah, it is.
So if you miss the exact day, like if you're not able to celebrate on May 1st or April 30th, because it falls on a Wednesday.
Right. Like, and your kid has soccer practice, you can't do anything for it. It's okay. Celebrate it when you can. It's really about the season of it and not so much the actual date.
Yes.
I don't think that your witchcraft or spirituality should be put into such a finite box of like, it only happens on May 1st. And if you don't celebrate it on May 1st, you're late and blah, you're a bad witch. Who knows? So because it is traditionally celebrated on that May 1st day, right? We have like the maypoles. There's things that go along with it because it's May, but it's a festival of fire, fertility, and union. And it's a big one for union because, we're not going to go into the whole history of how all 8 holidays and like where they come from, Celtic versus, the other origins. But this is another union of the divine goddess and the divine god coming together in unity. But it's in like pure lust and passion, and it's priming for having a baby, basically. And that's why it is such a sex holiday.
Well, that's so interesting because I got pregnant with you in May.
Look at that.
In Beltane, during Beltane.
I'm a fae baby. That's what they the babies that are conceived during this time are often called like fae babies. They're more accused of being changelings, which is when the fae steals your real baby and changes it out with a fae baby. And like, there's all these little things with it. But this is when we're honoring the peak of spring, because from here on out, it's about to get really hot. It is those true summer months. And this is when the earth is literally bursting with life. It's like every single thing is growing, whether you want it to or not. Everything is happening. Flowers are in full bloom. The days are getting longer. Like we're getting up to that point of the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, the longest daylight of the year.
The longest day of the year.
So in celebration, well, it's a celebration of the union. This is an important part of it because when they do if you go to a place that actually celebrates Beltane, they'll have the May Queen, and then they will have her like walk out. She's basically
is that the one you went to?
It is, yeah, in Scotland.
Was that last year? Was
last
it 2
year?
years?
Yeah, no, I think it was just last year. Gosh,
yeah.
It feels like a distant memory.
I know, right?
Last
Seems like
year
forever ago since last year.
It does. It feels so long ago.
So a lot going on.
The May Queen is. It reminds me of the story of Persephone or of Astara, where she's literally like waking up the earth. She's coming through and kind of like, okay, all of life, like come to your full fruition, all of that. Well, she, in my eyes, this is not from anybody else's reference. In my eyes, the May Queen is sort of that virgin mother who's coming and waking things up and has this power to just be like bringing life without another, like without the male unity. But there's the green man. Sometimes I'm pretty sure it's the oak king. If you go to other stories, he is this wildling from the forest, right? So she's like this deity of poise and like just doing all her things. And here comes this wild man, like, ooh, May Queen, like I entice you to join me in the woods for a frolic. And like, that's why it's such a sexual holiday.
Or I'll bend you over a tree stump.
Yeah. So it's okay. It's because on the summer solstice is when you would have like the sun god be born. So this is the time when the queen and the king, or the god and the goddess, would have sex, and then they would then have a baby for the solstice. That's when the sun is born. That's the birth of them.
Okay.
So you've got the May Queen and the Sun King, or the Green Man, or the Oak King, or whoever. I totally lost my train of thought because I just keep envisioning the whole thing of it, and the plays and all of the different stories that go along with this. There's so many versions because everybody wants to envision this in their own way, in their own fantasy, right? That's kind of what it's about.
Yeah.
But I will say that if you are interested in the fae and the fairies, this is the holiday for fae and fairies. Beltane is known as like that fairy holiday. Just putting that out there.
It represents, like Jamie already mentioned earlier, a time of action. The fire element.
The fire
moment
element.
to fully embrace the energy of life, love, and potential before the peak of summer.
Yeah.
It's like the bachelorette party before you get married.
Yeah, it is. It's like, okay, so one of the stories.
So this is the time we're doing all the, and then
all
we get
getting out there and like, ooh, what tickles your fancy?
It's about sex.
It really
and
is.
Definitely about a lot of sex energy.
A lot of sex energy, a lot of passion. See, I don't associate this holiday with love. People say love, but I'm like, love to me is like commitment. Beltane is not about commitment. It's about finding your passion and like following that through.
Getting down and dirty.
It's about procreation. Yeah. So that
making
doesn't require
babies,
love.
or practicing making babies, even if you don't want to make babies. This is when the May Queen and the Green Man, which you already mentioned, meet and come together, symbolizing the sacred marriage of earth and sky, and ensuring fertility and abundance.
Yes. This is where they seal the deal that it will be summer. So when the May Queen is coming out in the ceremonies and the Green Man is like enticing her to go on a little romp, she kind of wants to stay in her own power, but she also wants like the fertility of the land. So they need that union in order to create all the blessings. Yeah. This is a holiday that truly honors the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And I believe that. I think that there's just two parts of it, but the female has the power to accept or deny. And when you do the ceremonies, that is the dance that he does in front of her, like showing his worth, showing his moves. Like he's the peacock. He's like, come on, baby. Like, look what I got. you know, and she's in all her poise and wiseness and like knowing what she's capable of. She either accepts or doesn't. But of course, everybody wants her to accept so we can have summer.
Yes.
Because if not, we'll kind of stay in this like.
This is such a cool story. I love this.
It's fun to watch. So
did you get to watch any
of the dancing and the moves?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And he has like these heathens, these sexual heathens that are half dressed and like they're all painted red because red is that color of like passion and fire and coming at her. And she's dressed in more wintry colors or, you know, spring. So they're the light pastels and he's dressed in fire and passion and like earth and wood and like, I don't know, kind of macho-ish. Yeah.
Masculine.
dark. Yeah. Masculine the
energy.
dark paints. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she feels like when you're watching it, she feels like the light and he feels like the dark and they come together in the union. It doesn't have to be portrayed that way. And light and dark doesn't mean good and bad. It's just that they're opposites and it's two opposites coming together to make a whole. That's what it's really about.
Mm-hmm.
So the key themes of Beltane are fertility, like in all forms. So this is anything that mates. This is pollination. This is why we get food and fruits and flowers and all the pollination, like just thinking about it in a nature way. This is everything coming into recreating itself, you know, whether it be conceiving children, launching creative ideas or birthing new dreams. Like we can take this in a metaphorical form where it doesn't have to be about sex, but it's about creating the new. What do we want to go forward with? And this helps because when we talked about New Year's and how New Year's in the way that we celebrate it at January 1 is not really the time for new beginnings. Mm-hmm. It's better to do it like closer to Ostara, which was the last holiday. And now we have Beltane where it's like really bringing these dreams to fruition, really going in with passion, like really driving that home and getting on your path. This Beltane really supports that idea. So if you missed out in the last couple of months and you didn't get the air quotes dream going that you wanted to, Beltane is a perfect time to really get into that. The transition from planning to action as the seeds of intentions planted early in the year begin to bloom. So it's like, that's why it's an action holiday, because you can have intention and desire, but you might not see things bloom until this time. Like it takes effort, right? You got to keep with the dream before you see results. Yep. That's what Beltane is. Yeah.
Where and who first celebrated Beltane? Beltane originates from the ancient Celtic and Gaelic traditions, particularly in Ireland, Scotland, and the Isle of Man. Mm-hmm. The word Beltane, pronounced Beltane or Beltine. Do some people say Beltine?
I don't ever hear that. But
I've never heard that either.
I've heard Beltane, but
is believed to derive from the Old Irish bell, meaning bright or shining, and teen, meaning fire. Hence, it's the Bright Fire Festival.
Isn't that awesome? Mm-hmm. I think that's why there is such a big bonfire. There's always bonfires with it. It's a time when communities would light great bonfires on hilltops, symbolizing purification and protection. So this just didn't originate in our how we get the girl ceremonies, right? But it also was how we treated our crops, our fields, our cattle, anything on the farm. Like the fires were considered sacred and people would dance around them, jump over them, and lead their livestock between fires as a symbol of like blessing and protection. Also cleansing. But it was, and in real terms, like if you think about fire, I'm going to get way off track, but for a second, the Black Plague.
Yeah.
Spread by rats, air quotes, fleas and shit. The only way that people actually stopped it was to sit in front of fires to stay inside, and because fleas don't get near fires. So this is like an ancient practice of trying to keep parasites of some kinds away from the cattle. They would walk them between two fires as purification.
Wow. Yeah. Some of the early traditions, bonfires and cattle blessings.
Oh, yes. That was walking between the fires.
Celtic people depended on their cattle for survival. So did everyone else in the world at that time, I'm sure.
And sheep. So when they say cattle, like I think of cows, but really a lot of it over there is like sheep. Yeah. Some goats. Yeah.
They would drive their animals between two sacred fires to ensure health, fertility, and protection from disease.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I skipped ahead. I said that out loud before you said.
Then I'm going to take the next one then. Hand fasting ceremonies, which is what you did for
my wedding. I did.
Such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Beltane was a popular time for trial marriages.
It means you commit to people before you have So there's a problem when two people get together and then don't conceive. You're allowed to go and marry other people. There was not this like you have to stay together forever.
Okay.
If you can't conceive, if you can't conceive
because
children,
they weren't really married. You didn't go down and get a marriage license.
Yeah, it was just like we're joining in union for this Beltane. Give it a year, and if you have children, it's set. And if you don't, you're the next Beltane. You would then go seek new partners. So the
trial marriages they had, they were known as hand fastings. Couples would pledge themselves to each other for a year and a day.
What does that sound like?
Wiccan.
Yep.
After which they could either officially marry or part ways.
And usually it was because of children. That. Yeah. So hand fastings were like promise rings.
Well, and you know what? The thing about it is these traditions come from a time when having children was really important. It was really important because you needed people. You needed
to work the farm. You
needed
to continue the succession.
Yeah, exactly.
Because people didn't live that long. You know, like it. I mean,
40, 50 years old.
Mothers died in birth. Children died in birth. Like that was rough.
Yeah.
So they did give people this trial.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if it's in here. That's fucked up that I don't know that. But I'm going to add something to this story where Beltane is also a time, or even Letha, which is summer solstice, which is where like a Midsummer's Night Dream. What is that? Midsummer's Night Dream?
Yeah, Shakespeare.
Yeah, Shakespeare. Mm-hmm. This was also a time when you could run off. Everybody would run off into the woods after jumping over the fire. So you used to jump over a fire to like tell yourself, like, I do this for you. I want to use the word betrothed, but I don't actually know what that word means. You would jump over the fires to prove that you wanted to be with somebody. So they wanted these acts of like, show me you really want me, like do something for me. But there were also these times when you could run off into the woods and whoever you met up with to have sex with, you just did. It was like, didn't see them.
Animalistic and feral.
Exactly. I know. It's like free sex, because imagine two people who really did want to be together but didn't produce a child. It gave them an opportunity to conceive a child, and this is where they got the whole story of the Fae helping people get pregnant. Because you don't know, you can't say like, yes, we slept together. Like they probably did know, but in the community's mind, it wasn't an act that was done in front of everybody. So it's like, nope, that must be their child, these two people. So you could get pregnant during this time without embarrassing, like your husband couldn't give you a child, or whatever. Right. So it was just another way to
procreate,
embrace fertility without calling people out for being sterile, I guess. That's the best way to Or, I mean, there's so much to that.
Slutty, but I'm not going to say it's not that.
Oh my gosh.
How about just being human? About being human beings?
We don't, I mean, imagine back then, if you couldn't conceive a child, I mean, you were probably like blacklisted from the community of like
ostracized.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Ostracized, like put on the outside of, what do you do?
You
like that was your whole thing.
You would have been an anomaly for sure. Because most people were cranking out, 7, 8, 9 kids.
It was expected, and it was kind of like you wanted the goddess's blessing to have children. You prayed for that. Like that was how life went on. So there was always a lot of like dancing and merriment, and villagers would do the maypole. That was one of the things that came about with Beltane, is dancing around the maypole. So that was a way to symbolize the intertwining and the union. So you've seen like the maypoles, how it kind of braids down the pole.
Yep.
That is the union between light and dark, masculine, feminine. Yeah. The interwoven nature of love and life. Yeah.
Gathering dew for beauty and health. It was believed that washing one's face in the morning Beltane dew would bring beauty, youthfulness, and vitality for the year ahead.
Yeah.
The dew collected on Beltane morning. Did they actually go out and try to collect the dew?
They would rub their faces into leaves and drink from leaves. And so you got to imagine, this is Scotland, Ireland. This is places that had a lot of fog, which is absolutely beautiful. There's a whole way of life called living the mist, like because it is so misty there, and understanding what the mist represents for them. It's this ethereal like being in itself. That mist is sort of this, it has a persona there. And there's I read a book called The Mist-Filled Path, or something like that. But it's written by a guy who tells you about how it's so important to them. The mist has such a identity over there.
Wow.
And so on the Beltane morning, after you've done all your romping, like youth and beauty, and like to stay in that I don't know, that presence of the divine goddess and the masculine marrying. Oh yeah. So you would go out and rub your face in leaves and lick or drink and get what you could.
I've never heard that before.
No, it's such a Fae thing. Like it's intertwined with Beltane, but truly when people would wander into these areas where the dew was, they felt like it was blessings from the Fae. So they were like, it's a blessing back because they would leave things. Beltane's
I'm never going to look at dew the same way again.
The water coming.
Never.
I mean, every morning we have such humidity. Like we could be, we don't have fog and mist, but like we have so much dew here in Florida.
We have fog and mist.
Not much.
Go down by the beach.
Okay, sometimes. Not like it is in Scotland.
No, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures.
So, it's wild and beautiful. But that's the dew that collects. So when you see it dripping off, it's like, imagine all of these little diamonds coming off of the leaves because the sunlight is hitting them and they're just sparkling and radiant. I mean, you had to believe that people thought that was very powerful. It's like water imbued with like the morning sunlight and all this magic. Yeah. I could totally see that. I'd fall for that. Definitely. So Beltane is also a time when the veil between worlds is thin. Beltane is equal to Samhain, but on the opposite end of the holidays, right? So in Samhain, we get to see our ancestors. It's the veiling of like the humans who have passed, and we get that world. At Beltane, this is the unveiling or the thinning for fairies and magical creatures in the realm of like the unknown. So you've got the phoenix and the unicorns. You know, Scotland's animal is literally the unicorn.
Is it?
Yes, that is their national animal. So all of the magic that goes into what
unicorns
they believe
aren't real.
Don't you dare say that. They're in Scotland everywhere. What do you mean?
Are they?
Yes, it's on their flag and everything. Yes, that is their national animal
creature. Okay, we'll go with unicorns are real.
Unicorns are real. The Fae is real.
My Little Pony. Was My Little Pony unicorns?
No, they were like,
they were just little ponies. Yeah, I don't know. Jamie loved My Little Pony.
Hell yeah, I did. Anything with animals. Yeah, so like Samhain, where we can see our ancestors, Beltane's a time when you can really connect with the Fae. So what I've done, which is really funny, because the girls were over one time and I had them do, this is when they're young, they were like 14.
The girls, Tony's.
Yeah, Tony's two middle granddaughters. Mm-hmm. And when they were over, we did a whole thing for the Fae. We like left out milk and coins and all, you know, the little things. And then one year they came over and we didn't do it. And that was the year of my wedding. And you know what went missing, right? What? Our fucking rings.
That's
Mine
right.
and Tony's wedding rings went missing that year because
you didn't honor the Fae.
I know. And the girls said it. They were like, "You didn't do your Beltane ritual." I was like, "Don't remind me." I know it was I was planning a wedding. It was I had a lot going on. So our wedding rings disappeared. My veil was gone, and my belt that went with my wedding dress. I was left like bare boned. Yeah,
I remember.
So we got married with one of Tony's rings that was given to him by his grandfather. And then I used my engagement ring. So like I had my engagement ring, but I had my wedding band. And we found them 6 months later, all together. Everything was together in a fucking bag in my downstairs basement. Like somebody placed it there. It was so wild. I'm like, everything was together. If we had found that one thing, we would have had all of it. But no. So that's what happens when you fuck with the Fae.
So make sure you make your offerings.
Make your offering to the Fae.
Milk, honey, and bread.
Yeah.
To ensure good fortune and that you don't lose your wedding rings and a veil.
If it's an important year, just make a Fae offering and ask them for it. Because that's the thing is they're known for being like very mischievous and intervening and stuff.
I know.
Yeah, that happens.
So now that we've explored the rich history and connections of Beltane, let's dive into the symbols and magical correspondences that make this holiday so powerful.
So I think the symbols, correspondences, and the magic of Beltane is really about the fire as the main element. So if you just have a fire, if you light a candle, like boom, that can be your Beltane thing. I don't want you guys to think you have to do a whole big production
and it doesn't. Are there colors bonfire associated with this? Because it's spring. I mean, we're wearing flower crowns.
Yeah,
so, you know.
I would say anything that's like love, passion, sex. So I think of the chakras for this. So you've got your root chakra because this is all grounded in like being here, being present on earth, like our bodies, everything. But then you would have green for the heart and growth. And also you could even do, I mean, pink would definitely be there. Yellow for the vitality, for sun, for bringing in that solar magic. Yeah, anything related to fire, I would say is good. But also add a little bit of green because this is definitely about everything growing. There's growth there. Yeah. Ribbons are a huge thing for me. When I make the little maypoles for my garden, and they lasted like 2 years. I just bought regular ass ribbon at Michael's probably.
Yeah.
And dowling rods, but I don't know what they are. They're craft rods.
They're just called dowels. Yeah.
I taped them to the top and I put them in my garden and they lasted forever. I mean,
I remember those.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember when we made those wreaths and then we hung ribbons? Was that also for Beltane? Was that also for Beltane?
Also for Beltane, yeah. So I want you guys to remember that this being fire, solar, like anytime you want to represent the sun, circles represent the sun. So doing a wreath of any kind and then adding ribbons or greenery or any message to it is a symbol of the sun. And so that is also helpful. Yeah.
So the focus of the celebration is love, passion, creativity, and union. Honoring the sacred marriage of the earth and the sun is also an important element of this holiday. It's an ideal time for personal growth, fertility in all forms, and stepping into one's power.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's where I like the story of the May Queen so much, is because she has the power to say yes or no. Although everybody's urging her to say yes so we get summer. That's sort of her job, right? Is like to bring summer on. But I just love how much power she holds over the whole kingdom. Be like, oh, you guys want to live or die? No, not really. Maybe not die, but like she's in her own element. She doesn't need the man, but she wants the union because it's good for all. Like she sort of commits because it's like, this will continue the life cycle. Because if she didn't choose to be with the man and there was no union and the son didn't get born, then where would we be? Like life wouldn't continue. So I like the power that she holds for that. The magical workings for Beltane, it's like any love spells you guys want. And with love comes passion, but also like really deep connections. Make it meaningful. I think for Beltane, it's like, what I think of is love at first sight. You know, where you can meet somebody and be like, I feel something. Have we had another life together? I feel like we did this before, maybe. Like, let's do it right this time. Or, you know, let's make it better. When you have those deep, deep connections, I feel like Beltane's really good for that. There's also definitely an element of protection for the season to come because summer can be harsh, lots of direct sun, like the burning of things. It can be too much fire energy. So you want to do protection from illnesses or bad crops or too many bugs or whatever you think could go wrong during summer. So using fire and smoke as protection are also great during this time. And then, of course, manifestations and rituals for abundance, for creativity, for joy. Get out there and, you know what I think of is sidewalk chalk. You know how we like sidewalk chalk all through the summer? You would just see these beautiful creations on the, just all the colors that kids do. I love sidewalk chalk so much. I love seeing that. I love buildings painted in, you know, colors and stuff. Yeah. That's all part of like the magical workings for Beltane. Just get out there and like create some shit.
So with all this energy building, you're probably wondering, how can I celebrate and harness the magic of Beltane in my own life? Let's talk about simple rituals, offerings, and spells to make this fire festival truly special.
Yeah. Rituals, offerings, and spells. So I would think of small rituals for Beltane, like if you have a chimney, which we have.
I was thinking, you know, is this where campfires came from? I'm just like, did campfires come from this or bonfire?
No.
Bonfires, but any kind of fire.
Any kind of fire. These are community fires, though, too. I mean, if you have a community, it's about community. It is about unions. It is about getting together. So whether it's friendships, married couples, single people.
The Three of Cups celebrating? The three ladies celebrating, is that kind of like a representation of Beltane where they're dancing? Is it
It's
the three? Am I thinking of the Three of Cups?
Yeah, where they're all like this.
Yeah, they're all holding up cups. Yeah,
and there's a gate behind
dancing
them.
around.
Yeah, it's welcoming the victor back.
Yeah.
But there's also the Three of Wands, which is in my deck, it's the three birds on a branch that's like friendship, good times, joy, love, laughter, right? Like three best friends celebrating together.
Community and celebration, celebration and community.
It's about good. It's about honoring what you have and your deep connections and your true friendships and like being together during that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, okay. The jumping over the fire thing has always got me. It's one of the first stories I ever heard about Beltane is that men would jump through fires for women. I'm like, yeah, prove you fucking like me. Like, I don't know why. It always seemed like girls had to seek out guys like, oh, you got to get the guy kind of thing. But what, like,
we're still there today with that nonsense.
God, you know what? Fuck. I did ask Tony out. Damn it. I was thinking like, no, that didn't happen with me. Nope. I asked him out. He wasn't sure. So anyway, okay. But jumping over a candle or a fire, and this is for like purification and new beginnings. So say you want to symbolize a new start in your life. Maybe you've had a breakup, you've moved, you got a new job, anything. You could literally have that symbolic jumping through the flames to show your commitment to this new desire. It might seem weird to jump over a candle, but it's symbolic in those ways. Yeah. It's very symbolic, yeah. But it's also for like purification. Get rid of the past. Burn off that old shit. I like to throw stuff in fires, like written on paper. I love to burn things and say intentions. Mm-hmm. The one year we just threw a lot of shit in the fire and just said stuff because I had like a lot of scrap paper from one of my crafts. I'm like, all right, let's burn this. And we just, every handful of paper, we said something else of like what we're letting go of and getting rid of. Mm-hmm. Perfect example. It doesn't have to be super thought out and organized. It can be chaos.
Some of the offerings and honorings of the season are like leaving milk, honey, or mead for the fae.
Oh, mead.
Creating a flower or herb offering on your altar.
Absolutely.
Making love or passion infused meal. Making a love or passion infused meal with seasonal foods.
Yeah. So
what did you mean by making a love or passion infused meal?
Because you've got love and then you've got passion.
Mm-hmm.
They're not the same. Like when I think of love, I think of deep connection.
No, when I
bonding.
think of passion, I think of sex.
Exactly.
Let's get sweaty and do it.
Love that. Yep. Mm-hmm. Don't make me share personal stories. Don't need to. And a very easy way to do this is apples are a great representation of love and bonding. And there's an old legend, myth, could be a spell, to share an apple with a loved one to connect you. Uh-huh. It's like there's a love connection through apples. Oh, I know. I love it.
That.
Well, okay. It's really interesting. If you cut an apple from stem to end, it'll kind of take on the shape of a heart.
It does.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you cut it through its widest parts, you get the pentagram, which is protection. So you've got an apple for love and an apple for protection, depending on which way you can cut it. And it symbolizes both. It's the same piece of fruit. It's just like, what do you want to honor? So sharing fruit with people, or specifically an apple.
So the point is to make a meal from seasonal foods and infuse it with either passion
or intention.
Love.
That's right. Yeah. So then there's spells for growth and release. A love spell using roses and honey. You've got love right there. Remember honey spells? This has become kind of a fad, but I don't use honey in that way. I use honey to attract things to me that's like, it can be slow. I don't need it over time. Like molasses, slow as molasses. That's how I think of honey. It's like, but it's also known as like the sweet drawl, like drawl in the sweetness, right?
Yeah. It's like when you want something to be sweet.
You sweeten it.
Yeah, you sweeten it.
So there's two ways to use honey in that way. But so using roses and honey, you can do a manifestation jar for abundance and creativity. And all you have to do is in the jar, think about what means creativity to you. Maybe you could throw in like clippings from a magazine that have creative sculptures or art, like whatever it is that creativity means to you. You could literally put the word creativity in there if you wanted to, but it's bringing things in that are creative. And then anything that signifies abundance. All right. So like, what would you think of as abundance, as a symbol for abundance?
Seeds,
yeah, absolutely.
Pine cones.
Because
they got all the little things all over them.
Yes, those are the wishing pine cones, all over the pine
all
seeds.
The little pine things all over them for abundance. What else? I can't think of anything. What else? I know you got like 10 other things.
For your seeds answer was like more than accurate. Like any seeds that you want, because you can buy seeds for $3 to $5 and then throw them in the jar. But in Florida, palm trees are abundance because of the amount of palm nuts that they create. So we have a lot of palm. So any part of a palm tree is like an abundance thing. We have banana trees everywhere. Bananas are a huge part of abundance and fertility and like really go with the magic of it.
Because of their phallic shape.
No, of course not. That's not what I mean at all. But it's the amount that they produce in one flower. So one banana flower produces like 30 to 40 bananas, a litter of bananas. So when you want to think about trees that produce things in massive quantities. Like we have those cherry tomatoes that like one string is like 15 tomatoes going down these little cherry tomatoes. They're so beautiful. So, I mean, that would be something for my garden. Be like, fuck yeah, that's an abundance plant right there. Basil, the tops of basil where you've got all those seed pods that just go up straight. Yeah. So I think of it like that. It's like, it's really symbolic for me. I don't need to find it in a book and have somebody cross-reference it for me and tell me, oh, that's an abundance plant. No, that motherfucker produces thousands of seeds. That's going in an abundance spell. That's
if it's making babies.
If it's making a ton of like little baby
copies
plants.
of itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Replications of itself. It represents abundance. So you can probably find lots of those things if you look around and start thinking about it, like, oh shit, I never thought of that like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what do we have an abundance of all the time?
What do we have an abundance of all the time?
All the time. I mean, that's something to think about. Like, think of sand. I mean, so we live next to the beach, grains of sand. It's like
salt or something.
Salt,
because there's it's all these like little
grains.
Little grains. There's thousands of them. They're so small.
Yeah. So that is a representation of this is like a plentiful thing. This is an abundance thing. Yeah. So whatever it is, and
also I think not only things that produce, but probably things that grow too, because the growth is representing abundance because you're growing something. It's getting as little and now it's big. And then maybe it's producing flowers or it's producing fruit.
Right.
Or it's producing herbs, whatever it is.
It's literally get creative with it. And like, it's whatever you want it to be. I love that. So whatever you find in your environment, it's like, oh, fuck, there's like 500 of these around here. This is an abundance plant, I
have abundance all over my yard in the form of weeds.
Yes, I was thinking, that's what I was hoping you were going to say. Like, what do we have an abundance of? Kat and I always on the fucking weed struggle, pulling weeds all the time.
For sure.
Yeah. So, and lastly, like a really simple thing to do is to write down your intentions or your manifestations on a piece of paper and then burn them in your air quotes, Beltane fire, whatever that looks like. It could be your candle. It could be your chimney. It could be a outdoor barbecue. It could be whatever you want. But like burning that within the fires of like, this is going up to, and you can think of fire not as a destructive force, but as action and transformation. So that's where I think
and as
fire.
It burns up, it's going out and sending that energy. Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So the best areas to focus on during Beltane, growth. Definitely. Love, passion, creativity, fertility, either a physical or a project based. So, either we're getting busy or we're actually creating something. Yeah. And new beginnings.
New beginnings. And you'll find that we've just had 3 holidays now. We had Imbolc New Beginnings, Ostara is New Beginnings, and you've got Beltane at New Beginnings. And that's it. We're at the end of the New Beginnings thing. So this is your last fucking chance. No, just kidding. This is your warning.
This cycle anyway.
Yeah. But this is where we're now when we come to our next holiday of Letha or the summer solstice, you're not going to hear those words anymore. That's not going to be new beginnings anymore. Yeah. If you think about this, like we know the moon cycles, this is all of everything from new moon to full moon. These last 3 holidays, you're growing things. You're the creativity, the energy with that.
Yeah. Another good thing to focus on during this, during Beltane is releasing fear of energy or stagnation or creative blocks. Old wounds in relationship. This is the time to let go of those things.
I think for me that releasing the fear of intimacy is like, I went celibate for many years because of trust issues. I didn't trust me making decisions on a partner. I didn't trust committing. I didn't trust my own.
I've done that a couple times in my life.
And it was like to regroup until I was ready. So I made commitments
Sometimes
to
you need
myself
that.
for that.
Sometimes you need that space, that alone time, so you can like heal.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's mostly
definitely.
healing
And
and learning to trust yourself again, that you can make good decisions about.
So as much as this like holiday is about passion and love, it doesn't have to be about sex with another person, but it can be about getting more comfortable with yourself.
Mhm.
I was lucky enough, this is going to get real deep, real fast, real personal. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
My mom taught me at a very young age that masturbation was okay and not to be afraid of it. And being able to find yourself fulfilling first before committing sexually to somebody else and thinking about just giving them gratitude and not yourselves. I can't even tell you how many women I met in the military that had never had an orgasm by themselves. And it would shock me because I was like, why are you having sex with these men and you're not even having an orgasm? Like, you need to take some time out and figure out your shit.
And that's crazy that you give me credit for that. I'm glad I taught you that, but I do not remember having that conversation with you.
I love that.
Did I really say that? I'm glad I said that. I'm glad I was that kind of mother, because my mother never told me anything.
I mean, it's not like you explained to me
around and
how to do it or anything, but it's like,
I never even heard the word though. From my mother.
God, I think I was in 5th grade. 5th grade was when I had my first like sex education course of just some words, some simple words, right? And then 6th grade came and it got weirder because I was in that 6th grade. We moved and I became an elementary school person again. I was like, I went to middle school and then we reverted back to an elementary school because we moved. And I was like, I'm in fucking elementary school again. Like, what happened to me? And then 7th grade, I went back to a middle school. So there was this really weird, I was in a place where they were very open. Then I was in a place where we were shut down and treated like little kids again. And then I went to a middle school where it was like everything was wide open and sex education was huge. And so I got a lot of this and I had questions. And I got to say, for our relationship, I was able to ask you. When I heard about things, I would come and ask you about it. I'm not sure you initiated the conversation, but when I asked you about it, you told me the truth.
I was honest.
And you were honest and you were like, yep, normal. Yep, and this is all the things.
Yeah, and I was probably blunt in my delivery sometimes.
You were quick. You were like, I got things to do. Let's get this. Yes. More questions. What do you got? What do you got? And like straightforward answers. And then we moved on. It was like, okay.
Well, I spent too many years sexually ungratified.
Yeah.
Before I realized, hey, I'm supposed to be getting something out of this too.
And that's why I mentioned this, because I've met so many women who have, and I'm like, fuck, that sucks that people don't learn to have a relationship with themselves first. I don't know that men struggle with this, but I do feel like women struggle with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I don't know. So I wanted to mention that when we're talking about a sex holiday, that sounds funny, but we're talking about a holiday that really does center around passion, love. There's that self-love that we have to give ourselves too. And to remember not to neglect yourself of that, to like discover who you are as a sexual being as well, before you just like give everything to a guy or another woman or whoever. Like you're giving something to a partner that you haven't given to yourself yet first. Right. When I was going through my psych program, I wanted to be a sex therapist, right? Like
I know.
And my husband was
that.
like, what the fuck? Like, what is that? That scared the shit out of him. He was like, what do you mean? You're just going to help people have sex all day? Like, what?
Yeah, what does that mean?
It's the intimacy part that we have problems with connecting, and I think that Beltane is a perfect time. If you are single or if you are working on yourself, Beltane is such a good time to like love yourself again in that deep manner and like reconnect with your body and your own like physical self of pleasure, because you don't have to have another person to do that. You can do that on your own. All right. I'm off of my high horse, my mountain, my molehill, whatever I was on. Yeah.
So just to recap here, Beltane is a festival of joy, passion, and growth. A time to welcome abundance, embrace love, and step into the warmth of the season with an open heart. Whether you're dancing under the moon, kindling a flame for transformation, or simply taking a moment to honor the energy of life itself, remember that this is your time to bloom. May this Beltane bring you passion, inspiration, and the courage to let your light shine.
Absolutely. And until next time, keep the fire burning and the magic alive. Love you guys.
Love you, witches. Bye.
Okay.
Is this our second one?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Are we doing another one?
No, I don't have it written. So it's already 7.
Oh, good. Because it's late and I got to get food made and shit.
I can't believe it's 7 already. I've had such a good day though.
Well, we got to finally like
Catch up.
catch up. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been such a long. It feels like it's been forever. That was good.
Thank
Very
you.
productive.
I think so too.
The whole thing, the whole day was like super productive.
It was for our relationship as well. Oh yeah, we should probably end this. Strange.
Oh.